Hello, welcome back to 10 at 10. My name is Michael Ramage. I'm the director of the Cyber Education Research Center here at Murray State University, and welcome back to 10 at 10. 10 at 10 is brought to you through a partnership between Murray State University, Sprocket, West Kentucky, and KY Innovation. And welcome back to episode 287 of 10 at 10. We are excited to be rocking and rolling and continuing this. It's hard to believe we've continued to rack up the episode numbers, but here we are. All right, so today I want to talk about, I want to go back to an issue. I've mentioned it a few times, and I continue to get questions about it. So I thought I would just spend this week, and it's actually going to be another episode talking through the same issue, kind of working through it. And the issue is preparing. How do you prepare your organization to use artificial intelligence? The reality is your organization's already using it. You just may or may not be governing it. You may or may not have policies about it. So what do you do about this? Now, let me say, as we dig into this, that when I'm talking about this, what I'm really talking about is at the small business, maybe a medium business, a nonprofit, at some of these levels. I'm not talking about a Fortune 500 company. That's going to be something much more substantial. But I want to start talking about how do we just get going? How do we get started with AI in our organization? And again, I look at everything through the lens of a cybersecurity perspective. So I'm looking at this from a cyber perspective as well. So first thing, and I tell this to every person for whatever it is with cyber, is develop a policy. So in this case, develop an AI use policy. What we're having to answer is, what are the expectations that employees should follow when using AI? Now, in everything that I talk about with AI, I want to err on the side of innovation, but we still have to be responsible. We still have to do it in a secure and safe way, respectful of the data that we have, respectful of our customers, and all of that. So I think about all of those pieces, but I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So what tools are allowed to use, what information can be put in the systems, who's responsible for reviewing AI generated work, how should AI assisted work be disclosed, what security privacy requirements most employee. I mean, there's a number of policy or number of questions that we could answer, but we should lay out so everybody knows those answers. So to me, that's the first step. Kind of taking that to the next level is, if policy defines the rules, then guidelines kind of, I guess, explain what good AI use looks like. So what should it look like? So perhaps in your organization, appropriate use is creating marketing content or drafting emails, brainstorming ideas, developing training materials. There's a lot of things that we can agree that are good uses of AI, but what are some bad things? So maybe making public comments or grant proposals or legal documents or personnel decisions solely based on AI content is bad. So if we're going to do those, it requires it requires human review before publishing. You know, there's a lot of different things that could be. Again, what we're saying, or what I'm saying, is that AI is good, AI is useful, but doing it in a way that makes sense and is responsible is also good. All right. Step 3, kind of the third step to consider, is to create data protection rules. There's going to be instances where people, we've talked about it on our news episodes, where people accidentally disclose and share sensitive information. It's likely to happen. It's definitely going to happen if you don't create expectations and rules. So we should clearly identify the information that should never be entered into AI tools. Social security numbers, medical records, customer information, employee personnel records, student data, passwords, account, financial account information. Maybe we should have a list of those. And there's a simple rule. I actually really like this rule. If the information should not appear on the public organization website, it probably should not be put into a public AI chatbot. Now, there are AI tools that we get to control the boundaries of it that might be viewed a little bit differently. But there are going to be instances where we have to decide what is allowed and what is not allowed. And we need to make that decision. Here's the other thing that to keep in mind. What is right for the company next door may not be right for you. What may be right for a medical company may not be the same for a manufacturing facility. It's all going to be dictated based on your industry, based on your regulatory requirements, but also based on your risk appetite. You know, you may think it's okay to put passwords in a chat bot. The odds of my company getting hacked because I put a password in a chat bot, maybe you think it's low enough that it's a risk you're willing to take. Maybe the next company doesn't. That all depends on your level of risk appetite, your industry, your regulatory requirements. Even if you feel like you can put data in there and you're willing to take the risk, it may be that your regulatory structure says, no, you're not taking that risk. You have to decide what you want to do. All right. The next one is, what human oversight responsibilities should your organization have? What does that mean? So what I mean by that is AI makes mistakes. It's not can make mistakes. It's not might make mistakes. It's not 1 out of a million times makes mistakes. AI makes mistakes. It can generate incorrect facts. It can fabricate citations. It can misunderstand the context of your organization. It can produce biased recommendations. AI models are created based on the data that's put into it. And a lot of times that's public internet data. If you're looking at the internet, there's biased information in there. There's incorrect facts out there. So if there's incorrect facts out there, then obviously that information could show up in an AI model. So what is the requirement for employees to do before they publish data required or created with AI models? Do they have to verify the important facts? Do they have to check the calculations, confirm citations, review the grammar and the tone, ensure outputs align with organizational values, validate legal regulatory requirements? There's a lot of things that we should do, but what I will always tell people, the final responsibility of anything your organization publishes should always remain the human. Should always require a human employee to review the data to ensure that it's correct. Always. I'm just saying to you, we need to make sure that is out there. It should go without saying, but I have to say it. And then the fifth step we're going to talk about today is creating SOPs. SOPs, standard operating procedures. Policies will tell us the rules. Procedures tell us how to accomplish those tasks consistently. Different prompt inputs are going to get different prompt or different AI outputs. It's going to happen. So how do we make sure that we're doing it all the same so that the tone, that the approach, the way we do it is going to be consistent? That'll be a really important piece, because the more consistency, the better we can predict the risk and ultimately reduce the risk. So that's something that we want to do. So if you're creating content, what is the creation procedure for using AI? Or if you're using AI to help with research, or if you're using it to help draft emails, what's the procedure? For example, if it's, let's say it's content creation, we create the prompt, we review the generated content, we fact check statistics, we ensure branding consistency, obtain supervisor approval if required, and then you publish. So there's different steps to go in there. And if we all follow those same steps, then we will ensure that everything is going to happen as we predict or as we expect from a risk standpoint. Anyway, hopefully that helps. I am way over on time. So this is just part one. To give you a little preview, we're going to be looking at part two next time that we're talking about this. Actually, next week will be news. The week after, we'll come back and look at part two. If you have questions on this, please let me know. I am happy to sit down and talk to any person, organization at any point to help guide you in creating the governance structure for AI, because it's here. Our employees are using it. If you don't have policies to dictate it, then they're using it however they want. It's important that we follow that. All right. If you have questions, please reach out. Otherwise, I will see you next week back here on 10 at 10. Thank you. Bye.